I must say, I love animation of many kinds of styles. I love traditional animation. I like 3D animation, and as you can tell from what I'm going to talk about today, I do have also a love to stop motion animation. Although right now it's kind of hard to see a stop motion animation nowadays that they use it in a more traditional way. What I mean in a more traditional way is that they don't over-rely too much on CGI or computer effects because, let's face it, making a very traditional stop-motion animation is total hard work. It's very laborious and time-consuming, but there is a charm in it when you execute it well. And I'm glad that this British company, Aardvark, it is technically keeping that aspect of traditional animation. Look at it. They created some great stuff like the Wallace and Gromit and Shaun the Sheep, which I find it okay. But I can admit, I do love almost anything what they do. And I grew a little bit with all these kind of movies and series that they do. I do have a little bit of a collection of Wallace and Gromit on my computer. I did saw Chicken Run, which I really like. Some of their approaches in CGI, like Arthur Christmas, are also really good. But it's been kind of a while that I saw on the big screen a little bit more traditionally animated movie. I think the last one that they made in that caliber was the Shaun the Sheep movie, which was actually pretty funny. But now that I'm talking about the Arbor company of animation, it is okay for me to say that the movie I'm going to talk about today is none other than Early Man. The first time I saw the trailer, I absolutely love it. Because in contrast of seeing other family-friendly movies that were going to come out, like Peter Rabbit, I thought that this was a better deal. It is kind of sad that it came out next to Black Panther. And don't get me wrong, I have nothing against Black Panther, but it's kind of like one who tries very hard with a lot of passion trying to compete with a big budget monster. But don't worry, I'm not gonna. How can I explain? Yeah, I kind of ramble. I was pretty eager for Early Man, as you can see. I wanted to watch the animated movie because I love these guys. I keep repeating myself, so hey, get to the point. All right. My point is that I enjoy Early Man. I absolutely came out of this movie with a smile on my face. I know that people might say that he was okay. No, it was so far so good. I'm a little bit more forgiving because of certain circumstances. But we'll analyze it a little bit as we go. First of all, what's Early Man? What's the movie about? It is a quirky comedy that is about cavemen who are rabbit hunters. One of the cavemen is the most eager of them all. It is this young caveman named Doug. He's voiced by Eddie Redmayne. He also tagged along with this what was it, warthog? What was it, hotbog? I kind of forget the name of this guy. It's kind of hard to pronounce, but it's voiced by Nick Park, of course, the director and the main guy from the Aardvark. But the point is that he's very eager. He wants to move from hunting rabbits to mammoths because apparently he's tired of hunting the same recycled rabbit that they use on the Wallace and Gromit Curse of the Werewolf. You know, as it sinks. and well, he just wants to do a little bit more, and it's because apparently the tribe and the chiefs, their belief that they must hunt little things because there's this big rock. They have this big rock with paintings in which, in the beginning, it is kind of in a ridiculous way show the origins of soccer, even though they call it football in England, British. I don't care if you call it football or soccer. In Ecuador we call it football. So but it still makes sense that it should be called football instead of soccer because again, this is another subject for another time. So anyway, they are rabbit hunters. They live peacefully. They are comfortable with hunting rabbits, except Doug because he thinks that they should move on to hunt mammoths until. But then their home village, their home valley are invaded by the Bronze Age. What I mean is the Bronze Age is kind of like the gladiators or the Romans who took over the land because there's ore there, there's bronze, and it's all led by I think it's the vice captain or the leader of the group. What was it, Commander Newt, played by Tom Hiddleston, I think it was called, making his very British accent you could ever imagine for a guy like this. So yeah, the cavemen are kicked out, and our hero Doug, he just infiltrates the gladiators' town, and he realizes that the gladiators, the Romans, the people from the Bronze Age, they're very attached to football, soccer. They lost the game, and he begins to realize, oh, so that's what the rock paintings are of the cavemen meant. So technically, our hero Doug then challenges the Bronze Age guys to a soccer game, a football game in their case, claiming that if they win, they're gonna leave them alone and go back to their homes. But of course, if they lose to the champions, they have to work on the mines. And technically, then the movie follows the typical sport formula of people who doesn't know the game, and the people doesn't know the game. They have to learn a little bit how to get better in the game in the span of a month, because they say that they're gonna play after the next full moon. And well, it is sympathetic. It is sympathetic. It follows a basic formula, but in a way, I prefer a basic formula that plays the cards right, instead of something new but have the chance to piss me off or do something really, really bad. So if you want to play it safe, fine. Just try to push it a little bit more on what they do. And luckily, this is what early men do best. It keeps it safe, it keeps it charming, and it is pretty good. It's pretty much a little bit of a feel-good British comedy in claymation. Let's talk about the animation. The animation is it uses the what was it called? The Arbor animation seal of quality. Traditional, not much CGI, and in a way, it's admirable, especially for a feature length film. It's not every day when you see a movie of that caliber. I mean, I understand that we saw movies like Leica films so that they are stop motion, but they don't. For some reason, I don't feel too much stop motion because they do have the good balance between computer effects and stop motion, and they do. Don't get me wrong, but somehow the Arbor company kind of make it feel like the characters are really genuinely made of clay. Even the settings you can notice the hard work that it went through. So in a way, this is something that I really admire, from the character designs, from the way their mouth moves, the signs of the mouth making like this, It's kind of charming. It gives a character, it gives some kind of expression to the character that makes it. It's kind of silly and goofy. And speaking of silly and goofy, I gotta talk a little bit of the that you might be kind of raising your eyebrows, saying that really we're talking about cavemen playing soccer. For me, it doesn't matter because at least it does a good job establishing that yeah, it's just a silly comedy about cavemen versus Romans playing soccer. That kind of gave me the curiosity about the real origins of soccer. And while the story goes on, we can see we get a good chunk of humor in which I think that many people kind of try to not give it movie too much credit because they kind of don't understand the British humor. But hey, one thing that you should learn is that humor is universal. You don't have to. You might understand the joke or not. That's the point. It doesn't have to be. There's no cultural barrier. And you know what? Because I'm open, I understood it and gave a good laugh. Even if jokes that I already seen them coming, I'm more kind to them and I laugh. There are some parts that I kind of chuckle. Like for example, I don't know. There's something funny on the character of Tom Hiddleston making this British accent. There's also a good joke involving a giant duck because the cavemen are apparently banished into the Badlands, which for me it kind of looks like what will you do when you cross the elephant graveyard from Lion King and Mount Doom. I seriously want. There's a scene that for some reason it kind of reminds me of Mount Doom from Lord of the Rings. But anyway, there was this clever joke about a guy who is hungry. He wants to eat a duck that is on the distance, and then he throws a rock. But then it is later revealed that the rock is kind of like a pebble to the duck. Later it is revealed that this duck is none other than a very gigantic duck with fangs and everything. That was very clever. I also chuckled in the moments where how the Romans communicate with each other. Or okay, now that I think of it, maybe they're not Romans. They were just British people because they have a queen. They have a queen, and with the way the queen and Lord Newt or Commander Newt they communicate each other is with this messaging pigeon, who he just goes there and imitate what the person is saying. They say, "Oh, here's the message." Oh, and he doesn't imitate the voice or anything. It's just the bird acting himself. Like taking the role of the character he's communicating, and I get a good laugh out of it. Also, come to think of it, it's just cavemen playing soccer. How silly that is. But as silly as it is, it also has a little basic on having a little bit of a good message about. How can I explain it? Well, the message is a little bit in your face about teamwork and all that stuff. The typical things about that you see in these kind of sports movies, like for example not the Sandlot, like the Bad News Bears, or what was the Little Giants. Little Giants. That was the movie that always comes up in my head when it's about these kind of sports movie. Or technically Space Jam. Even though in Space Jam they try to get Michael Jordan. But there is also, it also comes off also a little bit of a message about trying new stuff, trying things that you should. That sometimes it is okay to get out the comfort zone. Sometimes. That's pretty much I can say about this. About the message of Early Man. So, do I recommend Early Man? Yes, I do. I really, really highly recommend Early Man. I know that I'm sounding that I'm overhyping the movie, but from what I saw from other movie reviewers, I think it is not being hype enough. And I'm doing this out of kindness to help support people who do this kind of animation. I know that we are all drawn to big budget American market like in this week we got Black Panther. And I'm not saying that it's wrong, but I think it will be great to support other companies and give it a try. I know that it is not from your country, but don't let that cultural barrier be a hindrance. Give it a try, check it out, and you might not like it in the first try, but it can still hold up. I'm not gonna be harsh on that. I just went there and had some silly fun with cavemen and Bronze Age English people playing soccer in something that it could be implausible. And don't worry, it is safe. It is family friendly. It's not cynical, and it's rare to see this kind of movies, especially nowadays. I think that it is okay to live a little bit of the cynicism out of the way and just welcome things for what it is, only if they deserve it. And this movie totally deserve it. So check it out. Please check it out. Give yourself a time after you watch Black Panther. Support that kind of animation. Support these people because it is totally worth it. I'm just saying that as a guy who is very passionate about animated movies of that caliber.